All right, I'm going to assume that's 10 seconds. So a quorum being present, the time is 6:36. I call this meeting to order. We don't have any minutes to approve, so we can get straight to the agenda items. The first two agenda items, they look identical, but they are for two separate requests for certificate of compliances. The first one, Robert Bennett, 50 Harold Place, Assessors Map 3, Lot 116. Could you come up here and introduce yourself for the record?
Doesn't matter where it's at. All right. Good evening, I'm Robert Bennett, 40 Harold Place. I'm here for my certificates of compliance, hopefully.
And can you just kind of walk us through what's the deal with this first one? This is for, I believe, the subdivision.
Correct, I believe the builder pulled out a partial certificate of compliance when they built the subdivision 22 years ago. And then what they do is they leave it for the individual homeowners to pick up the pieces years later. They really should make the builder close it out.
We're
but
trying
they
to
don't.
get better at that.
Yeah, so the situation is, that's it. I had the site visit. I believe we were in full compliance of what was required. I don't know what else to say.
All right. Any questions or comments from the commission?
Yeah, Abigail, I just had a question for you since you did the site visit. On the special order conditions, there's a various amount of vernal pools and detention pond called out and how those are pretty much signed and corrected. Was there anything on this property we need to worry about in terms of those special order conditions?
I don't believe so. It was fairly straightforward.
Okay.
Are you selling the property now? Is that
Yes.
why you're-
All right. If there's no more comments or questions from the commission, could I have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, and now if you could just stay there. This is agenda item B, request for certificate of compliance for Robert Bennett, 40 Harold Place, Assessors Map 3, Lot 116. Could you introduce yourself for the record again?
Yep, it's Robert Bennett, 40 Harold Place.
And for this one, it's the,
I believe it's for the septic tank,
Yeah.
which has been abandoned in the sense that unfortunately we're in a street that has, it's a pressurized system, so we have a grinding pump. So the septic tank isn't abandoned per se, but it's still there, but we're connected to sewer now.
all right,
So it's kind of a moot point for this certificate.
it's no longer usable, you're on septic, you're not on
Sewer.
septic, you're on sewer, yeah. All right. Any questions or comments from the commission? Not hearing any. Could I have a motion to approve this certificate of compliance?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Agenda item C, request for certificate of compliance for Michael Newhouse, 70 Wells Drive, Assessors Map 9, Lot 92. Sorry. Is there nobody here for that? Were we expecting anybody? All right, I am going to table this for the end of the meeting. And if somebody could just remind me about that at the end of the meeting. We'll skip to agenda item D, request for certificate of compliance for Charles Doty, 100 Apple Hill Drive, Assessors Map 38, Lot 2. Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Sure. Good evening. Charles Scott Doty from John Crow Associates, representing the applicant Raytheon Technologies. And I know that just to catch up for the record, there were a couple site walks that occurred yesterday. And I'm here to answer questions, but also to provide a little bit of information for the record. Information I didn't have for my client when I made the application. I did share it to commission members individually at the two sidewalks yesterday. That in fact, while the work was being done, Joe was out there when the finished work was being done and did recognize that the commission needed to make a decision and probably would do it at the time of the request for the certificate of compliance. He'd indicated he couldn't approve anything, but it was appropriate for Raytheon to request the changes at the certificate based on the manner of the work and the conditions of the work. And I want to thank the commission members for their diligence in meeting with us out at the site yesterday.
Thank you for showing us around. We
Sure.
really appreciate that. So the last time we met, basically, it was the order of conditions was not met because there's more riprap shown, or more riprap installed, and the order of conditions specifically says that if you add more riprap, you should contact the commission. You said that Joe, our former agent, was out there. So, like, obviously, like, the agent can't approve that, but, you know, he may have made notes and was intending to tell us about this. From my perspective, there's a lot of riprap. I'm hesitant to say it should all be removed and continue with the original plan because it's already in place. But my concern is that there's no there weren't any plantings put down, and I would like to see at least something go down in that area. And then, so like, it seems like in the short term, the riprap is better for the, you know, erosion control. If
Right.
there's a large rainfall that happens, it's gonna keep it in place. But I think, like, as, you know, members of the community, we see when there's a lot of rainfall and when there's a landslide and stuff. So I guess, like, in the future, this is gonna be one of those places, if we approve this as is right now, this is gonna be one of those places that, like, after a big rainstorm, you know, and if I see other places around town that have, you know, a lot of, you know, dirt washed out and stuff, I'm gonna be interested to see how this holds up, and you know, you're risking basically, whenever that happens, suddenly having an enforcement order to clear all of that back out and stuff. So, like, I think that's, to me, like, the other commission members can, you know, speak on this. That's how I see, that's what I would be comfortable with, if there was a few more plantings there and, you know, just the understanding that there's gonna be site visits whenever there's a really bad rainstorm and stuff. If anybody else would like to.
Yeah, I think there was some very flat areas, especially like Culvert B. There was a big flat area before it dropped off into the wetlands, and I don't understand why riprap was put there and not plantings. I feel like there's not an understanding of the value of the plantings as far as considering the whole ecosystem and the job that they do in filtering and absorbing water, stormwater.
You're talking about that place, that area that's just outside the guardrail.
Yes.
And that slope,
Yes.
top of that slope
Yeah.
there.
I mean, that's very flat. I don't see any issue with planting there.
Yeah.
There's also like different technologies like mats that you can, you know, put, stake down and plant in the holes or let things grow up in the holes. I mean, there's different technologies. If it is too steep, but it didn't look steep at all to me. It looked very flat.
That area is
Yeah.
flat, and then it gets very steep,
Yeah.
of course.
Right,
on down
right.
Towards that fence.
My concern is if you do too much in there, you're worried about disturbing what's there. You know, it's all kind of grown in, it looks very good to me.
I think that, I am sorry, and I apologize, Commissioner, I hadn't finished my thoughts regarding that flat area, is that itself, I think, helps the stabilization of it all. I understand it's very flat there, and it looks as though it probably could, perhaps there's something could be put behind the guardrail. But I think the top of the slope is as important as the slope itself. You're right, I think maybe some cribbing or something could perhaps there could be some plant materials put in there. But I think it would be not a wholesale type of change in that area. I think a wholesale change in that area might be more of a problem, more of a concern for erosion to happen than taking out maybe a couple small areas and putting.
Yeah, because right now
putting
that,
something in
all that stormwater just runs right down that cliff, right into those wetlands, and that is not good for that wetland ecosystem, you know? So to have something there that would absorb some of it, that would filter the stormwater, would be preferable.
Well, actually, that area isn't where stormwater should be going. Stormwater is, the systems are set up for it to be collected in the closed system, and the pipes bring it under the ground at lesser rates, and then the energy dissipated at the bottom. That area isn't really, the area, that area is not intended for all the stormwater to come down from the parking lot over that. That's
It is
what-
right next to the parking lot, so I'm sure
It
the
is right next to the
stormwater
parking lot, but
gets
the
in.
catch basin that collects all that water is further down. That's where the problem was, because the catch basins had not been maintained and really needed to be maintained. And, for cleaned out regularly, because they were topped up. And so then it overflowed, and then it went over the river and caused some problems at that B pipe. But that area that we're talking about, behind the guardrail, at that flat area that's, before it gets very steep, that area itself was never intended to be an area where stormwater would go down. The fact of the matter is, the issue was really created back in the 80s when it was built so steep, quite frankly. I think you would ask me the question, it was just fill. Yeah, that whole area, 25 feet, maybe close to 30 feet, that was all fill. So, and it's a beautiful wetland down below. If you ever get it's kind of in a weird place sandwiched between that slope and the highway, but it's rather nice, actually. But,
So just because you mentioned it, I know it doesn't necessarily deal with this project, does Raytheon have a maintenance plan? Because obviously not cleaning catch basins, if they have a SWIP or something else, is impacting the wetlands, so.
yeah, there was never in the original order for the construction, a O&M plan operation, I think is what you meant. SWIP is what we would do during construction. That's stormwater pollution prevention plan during construction is what a SWIP is. But I know that Raytheon would be amenable to, reasonable O&M operation, cleanup, because they do it anyway now. And if there was a condition for an approval, I think that would be
Yeah, I think just,
reasonable.
obviously I didn't attend the site visits, but that's one thing I would want kind of as an order, and I agree with the chair, that there should be some type of replication of wetlands somewhere else. I think I agree with Mr. Sheehan too, that the work was done and I think it's appropriate, but it just wasn't communicated properly, so there should be some
Yeah.
kind of replication plan associated with that additional work, and I think additionally, the maintenance plan should be included, or submitted at least to the Conservation Commission, to make sure there's no impact from any of their drainage or stormwater systems on site.
Right, I think it's probably something that you probably have in all your new waters, probably, is some O&M component. Right, I think it's actually a requirement now of the act, right, essentially.
So I guess, for going forward, I don't know what you still have 2 years left on this permit. Realistically, to put some planting, at the top of that one, and do you know how, that flat top at the B pipe, it's only 5 feet. It's not like a tremendous amount, and
Relative to the rest of it, it's very flat relative to the slope, but is not a very wide
Yeah,
area, if that's what you mean,
Yeah.
behind the curve, yeah.
So like, I guess realistically, how much, like, if you were to plant there, how much could you, like, you know, 2/3 of the width of it or something like that, like,
I'm concerned about its survivability of plant material at that location, of anything that would be formally planted, so to speak. I think there'd be better opportunities perhaps in the areas along the stream, area,
Alright.
between the two culverts, on the edges of that, in the buffer zone, rather than at the top of that slope. And I know one of the issues is, of course, there's a lot of greenery in the area, but that specific area isn't great to look at. But I think it's really caused by where it was built in the 80s versus what today's issue.
so I guess that leads me to like, what's an appropriate amount of time if we continue this, that you could go and add plantings to that area and, you know, get some sort of maintenance plan on the record that you can give to us?
I'd say probably a few meetings out from now. But I guess it's the manner, I guess, in which, how we would deal with any plantings, and how do we know when enough is enough, kind of an issue. Where the limits of it are. You're talking about maybe coming to you with a proposal, is that what you're asking?
That's what I would,
okay.
that's what I would
Yeah,
suggest.
okay.
I don't want to
Okay.
dictate.
Yeah.
I would rather them come to us with a
Alright.
plan, and then we would approve the plan or add to the plan, but we shouldn't create that plantings plan
Yeah.
or restoration plan.
Yeah, I don't think we could right now,
Yeah.
together collectively even. I think we need to look.
Yeah, all right, because there's a planting and seed table of what, I wasn't sure if that could be partially implemented, but yeah, so it might
I
need to
think
be.
that's probably what we would come back
All right,
with, was in some of those areas where it is workable. And some of it, I think we got, as I might have mentioned to a couple of you yesterday, that we really disturbed a lot less when it came down to it, in the areas along the intermittent stream, we disturbed a lot less area than we had. So there's some opportunity to enhance it a little bit in that area.
so if we're all in agreement that you'll come back with a planting plan and a maintenance plan, can I make a motion to continue for like 3 more meetings or something?
I think probably what we should do, since this isn't really a formal, it's certificate compliance, it really isn't a formal hearing process. We don't necessarily need to have a continuation. You're not on a clock right now, right?
Yeah.
And neither are we, but neither is Raytheon. So I think what's probably, if I may suggest this, Mr. Chairman, that allow me to talk to my client about this general sort of solution that we're talking about together. And unfortunately, neither Dan or Bill were able to join me tonight. And then contact you through Abigail, I would presume, to see if it makes sense, even if it's one thing, she communicates a little bit with you guys about what is going on, or what we've suggested, and then maybe we could pick a scheduled
All right,
date, or we decide maybe the best situation is that I get good response from my client, which I would expect. I don't doubt there will be anything but a good response, and we could even then provide something to the commission to look at ahead of a meeting, so that you're not, so you have some, so that kind of
Yeah.
process, okay? And then I guess ultimately we think about, though, when is, a certificate of compliance then is pushed out, right? Because the certificate of compliance gets pushed out till that work is done and we're happy with it all, right? So part of that might be remove, because maybe the plantings are located in one or two locations, and perhaps maybe we do have partial certificates somehow that, which allows us to remove a erosion control where it's no longer necessary because the great majority of those areas are stabilized. But that would be part of that proposal too, I think. That's what we would do. I'm just trying, I'm sorry, I'm thinking aloud, just, and maybe I should have, but,
So
Okay.
so are you asking for a partial certificate of compliance
I-
for everything except?
No, I'm not. I did not, no, I'm not making that request. It may be a part of that.
All right.
Okay? It may be for, you can say, oh, we're gonna do some plantings over here, but those areas are all
All right.
stabilized, and then I'm trying to get, and I don't know if that's really even necessary, it's just, I think, some of us, I think all, have made comments, maybe we could take some of that erosion control fencing down, because it's really, those areas are stabilized.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll think it through. If I have any questions, I'll rebound them through Abigail, you guys.
All right.
And, well, thank you very much.
Yes. Thank
And I
you.
think that's where we are for now. I don't have anything else, but I'd be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
I'm all set, but if anybody
good.
else.
All right. Thank you.
So I'm gonna just take a motion to continue this certificate of compliance to a date in the future.
Sure.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
All right. Agenda item E, public hearing, request for determination of applicability for Emmett Millet, 79 Chandler Street, Assessors Map 76, Lot 33. Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Good evening, Emmett Millet. I'm representing Tewksbury Rod and Gun Club at 79 Chandler Street.
All right, and what do you plan on doing?
We want to bury our power line because we continue to have problems with trees falling on the line, interrupting power. And we can't use the field, and that costs, it continues to cost us money. Get the trees off the line, get the line back up. So the request is to take it off of the poles and put it in the ground.
All right. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is on the outer edge of the buffer zone, right? It's,
I'm not sure what that tells me,
The trench just crosses into the 100 foot, so
Alright.
any earthwork would, it's all approximate, but only by a couple of feet.
all right. It seems pretty straightforward to me. Actually, before I open it up to the public, I'm just gonna read out the proposed order of conditions. So 1, install and maintain erosion and sediment controls, ESCs which shall include of a properly entrenched silt fence and/or staked straw wattles around the area of construction as to prevent the deposition of sediment from construction activities into nearby wetland resource areas. ESCs shall remain in place until all areas of disturbed and loose soil and other erodible materials have been stabilized at the site. 2, prior to any construction activity commencing, the following must be completed. ESCs shall be installed by the applicant or an agent of the applicant, and the conservation agent shall inspect and approve of the installed ESCs. And 3, following the completion of work, the disturbed area shall be seeded with native seed mix. The ESCs shall remain in place while the seed mix grows for a full growing season. And A, the conservation agent shall inspect and approve the seeding following the growing season, and once the seeding has been approved, the ESCs may be removed. So just straw wattles around the area of construction, reseeding and contacting our agent
So
before.
are the wattles needed for the entire trench, or just what's near the wetlands?
Just what's near the wetlands.
Okay, so that's a very small area.
Yeah,
now,
so-
okay, near our house, okay.
Yeah. Was there anything else? Is there any questions or comments from the commission before I open it up to the?
Only question I had is, are you removing any trees? I know you said the power lines are near a bunch of trees,
There's one in the middle. It's a pine tree.
so probably not within the 100 foot if it's in the middle of the project.
I'm sorry?
Do you know where that pine tree is, Abigail?
I don't know where that specific pine tree is, but the area that's closest to the buffer zone there's no
Okay.
vegetation.
Oh, there's no tree removal in that area?
Perfect.
All right. If there is tree removal that you realize is needed, just contact us before, you do it
Yeah,
and stuff.
no,
But
there's nothing near that
all
area.
right. All right. So if there's no more questions or comments from the commission, this is a public hearing. If you are a member of the public who would like to stand and make a comment, I ask that you go to the podium and introduce yourself, and give everybody a few seconds. Not seeing anybody rise. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And, all right, so if there's no further discussion, could I have a motion to approve the determination, or for a negative determination of applicability as discussed at this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too.
And so I'll give you a call later. Thank you very much.
All right.
Wonderful. Have a great night.
Thank you. Next item is agenda item F, public hearing, request for determination of applicability for Anthony DiGiamar.
You can't say it right, I'm not getting that.
I should be able to say that. It's a pretty standard name.
Giacomo.
Giacomo. Thank you. For 81 Fraser Lane, Assessors Map 25, Lot 80. Could you please introduce yourself again for the record?
I'm Anthony DiGiacomo, 81 Fraser Lane in Tewksbury.
And could you walk us through what this project is all about?
Just noticed last year, one of the storms we had, the trees, a couple of limbs came down, and looking to remove the trees.
All right. Are there any questions or comments from the commission? You plan on removing 3 trees or 2 trees?
4 technically.
4, all right. And they're all outside of the 50-foot no-build zone? All right. So I'm gonna, before I open it up to public comment, I'm just gonna read out these special conditions. Conditions may include the applicant shall install and maintain perimeter controls around the area of work to prevent the deposition of debris from tree cutting activities into nearby resource areas. Perimeter controls shall remain in place until all areas erodible materials have been stabilized at the site. The applicant shall leave the tree stumps in place after the trees have been cut down and remove any debris resulting from the tree cutting for the larger trees, and the applicant shall remove the tree stumps and remove any debris resulting from the tree cutting and stump removal work from the smaller trees.
Yes.
Is that, all right. All right, if there's no questions or comments from the commission, this is a public hearing. If anybody from the public would like to stand, I just ask that you introduce yourself for the record at the podium.
Sorry, I have to catch my breath. My name is Donna Pelzar. I'm a back abutter. I live on Trout Road, 387. I just have a couple of questions. Will you be taking down more trees, or will it be a total of 4? Because I know you have removed some so far.
A total of 4.
So you've removed 2 now?
Yes, 2 more.
So you've removed 2 full trees already,
Yes,
and you'll remove 2 more.
yes,
So it'll be a total of 4.
yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because I thought you were going to do 4 plus the 2, which would be 6.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're asking.
But you have removed some trees, and I thought you were going to have 4 plus the 2 you.
No, not 6, 2,
Okay.
just 2.
Okay, thank you. I just want to bring up the fact that, you didn't know where the lines were, and I understand that, but it's a wonderful program available at the Conservation Commission where you can find out. It's free, it's available to all town residents, and it's wonderful. I mean, Abigail showed it to me, and you will know where your delineation lines are. So there's no problem with cutting down trees and not knowing what you're doing. And I think the town should promote it, Not that you're not knowing what you're doing, but I'm saying you don't have to pay anyone to get that information. And there is an intermittent stream which is in the wetlands in that area. And I had a question concerning the trees that normally fall on the intermittent stream. If they fall over just because they're dead, I've been told that we can't remove those. Is that true?
Yes, correct me if I'm wrong, Abigail, but if a tree falls in the wetlands, you're not supposed to be removing the remainder of the tree. It's supposed to be
But even if it falls on an intermittent stream?
I believe, yes, through an intermittent stream,
But
it's supposed to
I
stay
guess
there.
my concern is that stream can be really full when we have a lot of rain, and it backs up into our back land, our homes. So I wondered if we could just remove that part of the tree in the stream, like cut it out and remove it.
So, I want to answer your question, but it's not technically part of this application.
Right, correct.
I guess I would suggest in the future, if there is an issue with flooding because of a tree that fell across the stream,
Right.
there should be some way of handling that.
Yep.
It's not like we're gonna say, oh, no, you just have to deal with the flood. Like, we could clear that out, or I don't want to say the town will clear that out, but it's possible to get that removed in such a way that the tree stays there and the stream is,
And I
allowed to
guess
flow.
why that question has come up is that buffer zone between Fraser Lane and Trout Road, the trees do a really good purpose to keeping some of the water back. That's the reason why I brought it up. We're seeing more water in the intermittent stream. Our backyards are getting moister, which is nature. I understand that. But as you remove more of the trees, more of the water will come back. That was just my concern. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there are any, did you have a?
I have a question.
Yep.
Now that came up. So have you already started the work?
Yeah.
So I guess you've already started the work. Typically for tree removal, I would you want to remove 3 trees, and we go, all right, well, if there's anything more that you decide to during the cutting process, that you realize that there's additional trees, we typically go 1 or 2 over the requested number. So because you've already started the work, I really want to limit this to 4 trees total, no more,
Yeah, I'm good on-
after that.
I'm good on 4.
All right, if that's okay with everybody on the commission. So the public hearing is still open. If there's anybody else who would like to get up and ask a question, I'll allow a few extra seconds for you to do that. But not seeing anybody, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability as discussed at this meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
What's my next step?
Wait for Abigail's,
Thank you, guys,
thank you.
and thank you.
All right. Agenda item G, public hearing, request for determination of applicability. Christopher DePercio, 109 Kennedy Road, Assessors Map 21, Lot 71. Could you introduce yourself for the record, and then the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Chris DePerzio. I'm here representing the Fords. My company is CJD Home Repair, and the address is 109 Kennedy Road.
And could you take us through this application, what you plan on doing?
Sure. Years ago, I'm not sure the date, they had an addition put on the side of their house. On the front side of this addition, there's a farmer's porch. It's roughly 5 feet by 14 feet and 14 and a half feet long. It's width of the addition essentially comes out 5 feet. They're looking to have the same thing put on the back of the house, on the back of this addition, except screened in, as opposed to being open.
There's a few proposed special conditions, which I'll read out if, first off, if any commission members would like to make a question or if they have make a comment or have a question, now to do that. Not hearing anybody. Proposed conditions may include install and maintain erosion and sediment controls, ESCs, which shall include of a properly entrenched silt fence and/or staked straw wattles around the area of construction as to prevent the deposition of sediment from construction activities into nearby wetland resource areas. ESCs shall remain in place until all areas of disturbed and loose soil and other erodible materials have been stabilized at the site. And prior to any construction activity commencing, the following must be completed. ESCs shall be installed by the applicant or an agent of the applicant, and the conservation agent shall inspect and approve the installed ESCs. Any issues with that?
No.
All right. All right, if there's no questions or comments from the commission, this is a public hearing. If anybody in the public would like to stand and make a comment, now is the time to do so. But not hearing anybody, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability for this applicant?
I'll make that motion as discussed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Call you tomorrow. Thank you. Yeah, busy day tomorrow.
All right. Agenda item H, public hearing, notice of intent for Mira Cousins, 19 Bemis Circle, Assessors Map 108, Lot 21. Could you please introduce yourself for the record? And then the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Mira Cousins with Civil Design Consultants. I'm here representing the homeowner, Nikki Castrucci, for the proposed house addition located at 19 Bemis Circle. So the site is located in the R40 zoning district. The total lot area of the parcel is approximately 0.38 acres. The existing site currently contains a single-family house, driveway, and landscaped areas. There's a bordering vegetated wetland that's located at the southeasterly corner of the lot, and a portion of the site is located within the zone AE with a base flood elevation of 85. So the majority of the existing house is located outside the 100-foot buffer zone, with approximately 50 square feet that's located within the 100-foot buffer zone. There's an existing town-owned drain line that runs through the property. It originates from the catch basin that's located in the Bemis Circle cul-de-sac, and it discharges towards the rear of the property. The pipe outlet is located approximately 10 feet from wetland flag 5A. So what we're proposing here, the applicant is proposing to build a 1,130 square foot building addition to their home, which will be located outside the 50-foot no-build zone. The house will be located approximately 73 feet from the closest wetland flag. So in order to construct this addition, the existing drain line that runs through the property is proposed to be realigned. So I reached out to the town engineer, showed him the plan, he's in support with the plan that you have in front of you. So the town engineer requested that the location of the pipe outfall to match the existing discharge point, which means temporary work will be required within that 25-foot no disturb zone to install the new drain line. And I requested a waiver in the narrative that I submitted for that work. And lastly, erosion controls will be installed along the limit of work area. So with that, happy to take any questions.
All right. So the pipe discharge is essentially staying in the same location, but the pipe is being rerouted.
Correct, yes.
Any questions or comments from the
See
commission?
it on the plans, I just want to confirm, so the new piping arrangement, so there'll be an easement if so the town's going to own the pipe at the end of the day?
Correct.
And there's going to be an easement?
Correct.
And everything's designed with accordance with what Andrew wants, essentially?
Yeah.
For
we'll make
manhole
sure-
covers and manholes and pipe?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, comply with town standards.
And you said the entire addition is outside of the 50-foot buffer zone?
Correct, yes.
All right.
So do you have to do any paperwork to remove the other easement, I guess, since you're moving the pipe too?
That's a good question. I think we do have to dissolve
Okay.
the current easement. And if you noticed, the existing pipe is not located in the existing easement. I don't know why that happened, but, yeah.
So I guess if, this is more out of curiosity, if you don't dissolve the existing easement and there's a new easement, you're just gonna have two easements and one with no real reason for it and stuff, but that's on you to
Right,
do and
right,
stuff.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right, if there's no further questions or comments from the commission, this is a public hearing, and if anybody from the public would like to get up and ask any questions, now is the time to do so. Not seeing anybody rise, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye, sorry.
Chair votes aye as well. Do we have any special conditions attached to this?
We do, are they?
I'm not seeing that, maybe I'm looking in the wrong
I don't
spot.
see him.
They included reseeding of the area within the 25-foot buffer zone.
All right. Are you okay with that?
Yes,
All right,
yeah.
thank you. All right, the public hearing has been closed, and special conditions have been stated. If there's no further questions or comments from the commission, could I have a motion to approve this notice of intent as discussed at this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then next item on the agenda is agenda item I, public hearing, notice of intent, Maureen Herald, 170 Charles Drive, Assessor Map 7, Lot 26. Would you please introduce yourself for the record?
Hi, for the record, I'm Mira Cousins with Civil Design Consultants. I'm covering for Maureen Harold, so bear with me here. So I'm representing the homeowner, Danielle Noseworthy. I'm requesting an order of conditions for the proposed house addition located at 170 Charles Drive. So I'll give you guys a quick summary of the existing conditions before we talk about what we're proposing here. So the site is located in R40 zoning district. The lot area is approximately 1 acre. The existing site contains a single-family house, driveway, a shed, and landscaped areas. There's a bordering vegetated wetland that's located to the east of the existing house. The entire house is located between the 50-foot no-build zone and the 100-foot buffer zone. Portions of the 25-foot no disturb zone is disturbed with lawn and landscaped areas. And the existing house was built in 1970, which predates the Tewksbury Wetland Protection Bylaw. So what we're proposing here, the applicant's proposing to build a 485 square foot addition to their home, which will be located outside the 50-foot no-build zone. The addition will be located approximately 53 feet from the closest wetland flag. A proposed subsurface infiltration system will be located west of the house, which consists of 2 storm tech chambers that would handle the roof runoff for the proposed addition area. No work is proposed within the 25-foot no disturb zone, but as mentioned before, the existing 25-foot no disturb zone is currently disturbed with lawn and landscaped areas. So the homeowners are requesting a waiver from the 25-foot no disturb zone to maintain their lawn and landscaped areas as is. And lastly, erosion controls will be installed along the limit of work area. So with that, happy to try to answer any questions.
Just looking this over. The proposed addition is 485 square feet.
Correct.
Any questions or comments from the commission?
I'm good.
What's the maintenance plan for the storm tech system?
Good question. An operation maintenance wasn't included in this application, but it would be based on the manufacturer's
Yeah,
typical.
I just worry about a resident actually maintaining a storm tech system.
Right, it's to their benefit to clean it.
Correct.
Yes. Agreed.
And I'm not seeing any special conditions. Is it the same straw wattles and,
Those are included in the standard order.
The only other order I would add is that they maintain the storm tech as recommended by the manufacturer.
Okay, okay.
all right. If there's no other questions or comments from the commission, this is a public hearing, and if anybody from the public would like to get up and ask a question, now is the time to do so. Not seeing anybody rise, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Could I have a motion to approve the notice of intent as discussed at this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you guys.
All right, and now we have agenda item J. This is a public hearing, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation for Bob's Wicker, 1628 Shawshene Street, Assessors Map 113, Lot 2. Could you please introduce yourselves for the record?
How you doing? I'm Bob Zwicker. I'm looking to purchase the property.
Yeah, Andy Bajasic from Dana Perkins, engineer for the project. This property is located,
Before you, if
Yep.
you're gonna sit up here, I just want you to introduce yourself for the record too.
Yeah, I figured if I get hold of him. So I'm Patrick Seecamp from Seecamp Environmental Consulting, and I'm the wetland scientist on the project.
All right, thank you. All right, continue.
yeah, so this property is located near the intersection of Shawshene and East Street. You're probably familiar with it. For over 50 years, it was an existing junkyard. A few years ago, the junkyard closed, all the cars were removed, and the site has sat vacant since then. The applicant is looking to purchase the property And we felt it was a good idea as part of his due diligence to file an ANRAD on the property to get an idea of how much of the property he's able to develop. It's a unique site where, there's extensive wetlands to the south and west of the property. The entire property is enclosed by a chain link fence. I'm assuming the junkyard was using the extents of it, whether from sitting vacant or, the water levels rising in the wetlands. The wetlands has now encroached the chain link fence. Specifically, a good portion of the back of the site is now considered wetlands, as well as along the southern edge of the fence. So it's a unique site where it's previously disturbed. So we thought NANRAD made the most sense
All right.
as a first step.
All right. Any questions or comments from the commission?
Do you have plans for the site? Do you know what you're gonna build there?
So it's actually a landscape supply yard. So it's a great use for me because I'm not looking to build anything. Looking to do some general grading, not really, I think less than a foot generally overall.
Yeah, so Mr. Zwicker currently owns a company, Mass Mulch. They're already up and operating in Andover. He has essentially a contractor's yard there, bins for mulch, stone, fill. So he's looking, this is more area for him to expand and grow his business. It's a good use for the site. The site currently has an AUL attached to it, due mostly to, gas and oil in the ground. So there are some limits to it. The AUL is not very restrictive. It's certainly not, wasn't determined to be spreading or anything as far as I can tell. The AUL was done several years ago, not by us, so we're just kind of reading the reports. So there are some restrictions on the site, but certainly what we're looking to do would be allowed under that.
All right. And so was this delineated before, and did you have to move any wetland flags or anything like that?
Yeah, so my understanding is there was it's probably been delineated, quite frankly, several times, this site. It's one of those sites, I think it's been on the market for a while. I did see some old wetland flags, predominantly just along the chain link fence. My delineation, which was done maybe several months ago, brought the wetland line, quite frankly, onto what used to be the junkyard portion of the site, or the actual usable portion. So unfortunately, what's happened, in my opinion, is it probably was a wholly utilized site all the way to the chain link fence. There's evidence of old disturbance, like this site probably goes back to at least to the 60s, if not back further. I think something has happened in the interim to raise, this is my professional opinion, that the hydrology in the area seems to have come up. There's a lot of dead trees around the peripheral area off the site, but beyond the chain link fence speaks to me of either a block culvert or beaver activity. Because the site was heavily utilized, and you had often you had trailer or truck parking out there, it created ruts. So the wetland line literally has come up from the chain link fence now, based on hydrologic conditions, soils, well, really not soils, but vegetation and hydrology, has sort of come up these divots, ruts, as a result of the tire tracks, and they're geometric, two ruts right alongside each other. The wetland line, unfortunately, comes into the site and then goes back down to the chain link fence. So I would say my line is probably, at this point, the most expansive that it's had in the last however many years, unfortunately for the owners and the applicant, because it is what it is, so. Yeah. The site has a substantial perimeter of invasive species, unfortunately. It's a lot of Phragmites out there. So we're losing ground to that. And I think that the site speaks to, if it can get utilized, it's gonna be of net benefit for that. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the commission? Not hearing any. This is a public hearing. I will open it up to the public. If anybody would like to get up and make a comment, now's the time to do so. Not hearing anybody. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion to approve the ANRAD? Or is that the correct motion? Yes, all right. Could I have a motion to approve the ANRAD as discussed at this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
All right.
Did you go to that? Did you had to go to that one too? Yeah. Oh, you did.
Thank you. All right. We have a few emergency certifications to go through. Agenda item K, emergency certification, 31st Street, Assessors Map 81, Lot 245. Abigail, could you fill us in on this?
It is a failed Title V, and they're hoping to connect to sewer.
All right. Anything unusual about this connection to sewer?
Nope.
All right. Any questions or comments from the commission?
I think just on the first page, I think it's just a typo. It says failed Title 54.
I just saw that and crossed it out.
All right. Could I have a motion to ratify the emergency certification as discussed at this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Agenda item L, emergency certification for 305 Pleasant Street, Assessors Map 46, Lot 102. Abigail, could you fill us in on the details?
This is also a failed Title V.
Anything unusual about this failed
Nope.
title? All right. Any discussion from the commission? Not hearing any. Could I have a motion to ratify the emergency certification?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And agenda item M, emergency certification for 1120 Andover Street, map 26, lot 15. Abigail, could you fill us in?
This is a failed Title V. Nothing weird.
All right. Any discussion from the commission? Not hearing any. Could I have a motion to ratify the emergency certification?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Old business, new business, we have an update on the McClellan Oil superseding order of conditions.
So, DEP issued a superseding order of conditions for McClellan Oil. They're uploaded into your packets under old business, new business. And there's 45 of them. They seem pretty basic. One that I do want to highlight is that number 45, upon completion of this project, the applicant shall request a certificate of compliance from Mass DEP, and we'll submit all that information to them.
So does that mean that they don't need to come to us for a certificate of compliance?
I'm unclear on that.
right.
I'll definitely look at the regulations.
Yeah.
But it does, I think they mostly have to deal with, because this supersedes any conditions set by the commission. But the commission will be included, like any information from them. The commission will be included in that.
All right. And some of these have A, B, C, and D, so it's even more than the
Yes.
45. Good luck to them. All right, and For the administrator's report, there is the proposed 2025 meeting calendar. Without Steve here, I don't want to approve this just yet. So if we could all take a look at it and make sure that, you know, if there's any meetings that you can't make, that too many people can't make, we can reschedule it and stuff, but it seems like a pretty standard meeting calendar that we can throw up there and approve hopefully next meeting.
Yeah, if you have any concerns or anything, shoot me an email and I can change stuff.
All right, if there's,
Just want to bring up one other thing. It's came up years ago, and I think it's getting back to this place, is the quality of packets that people are delivering. I think there's a lot of packets tonight where the wetlands weren't even shown or how far the projects were away. So I think when they do submit, even if it's kind of just a mass mapper showing these boundaries, because it's hard without doing a site visit to look at these plans and understand how close they are to wetlands. And I know this, we talked about it before, not everyone's hiring an engineer, not everyone needs to go through full design plans, but there should be something a little bit better to look at.
So do you, like, showing like a
So I guess, like-
screenshot of Mass Mapper?
Yeah,
would
the
be
rotting
required?
gun
Okay.
clump, it was just a line with two X's on a map that I didn't have any indication of how far it was away.
Okay.
Where the wetlands were, any impact, so just something a little bit better would be nice.
and that's not something that Abigail should be doing for anybody, but there's resources online, basically the GIS maps and stuff, so if you can, do we have a link to that stuff on the website?
Yes,
Alright.
we do. We have Tewksbury GIS has a whole web page, and I try my best to direct them to that resource.
Awesome, thank you. All right, if there's no other discussion, could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next meeting is November 6th, 2024.